Hi, this is a screencast to help you with your developmental supervision sequence assignment and to show you some handouts that I've put that I think will be helpful to you as you practice doing coaching for instructional improvement. You can find these handouts in D2L between March 18th and March 25th assignment pages. There are 5 handouts here. I'm not going to go over all of them. I'm going to go over the ones that I think will be the most helpful for you as you do this assignment. First, you have a cognitive coaching overview. All of these handouts have to do with cognitive coaching, which is really a way of helping teachers learn how to improve their instruction because you're asking them questions and helping them make decisions about how to do a better job, whether they're already good or they need to improve. So this is an overview of the whole process of cognitive coaching. The second one is cognitive coaching conversations and questions, and I'm going to show you that one. Then we have a mentor tip card, which is kind of a cheat sheet of questions that you can use while you're doing your coaching and instructional improvement, your conversations. And then you have an example of a planning conversation. Then you have examples of both types of conversations. When I'm talking about conversations, I'm really talking about the pre-observation conference and the post-observation conference that you will be doing in this sequence. So I'm going to open this handout and show you what it has, what it says. This describes what cognitive coaching is, and it requires the coach to be non-judgmental, to encourage reflective practice, and to guide another person to self-directed learning. That's the whole point of it. And you use objective data to help people see how they can improve. That's very much like the clinical supervision process that we're learning from the textbook. So in this handout, you will see that there is a section for the planning conversation, which is basically the pre-observation conference. When you are having this conference with someone, you're going to try to find out what it is they want you to observe. In doing that, here's some things that you might want to find out from them. So if you want them to describe the purpose of the lesson, here's some example questions that you might use, or to envision how that might look, or to define it, or to predict what's going to happen. Here's some example questions that you might actually use. So when I did pre-conferences, I had question cheat sheets depending on what it was that I wanted to try to get out of the conference. After you've done your observation, then you're going to have a post-observation conference or reflecting conversation. And here's some examples of questions you might want to ask in a reflecting conversation. So they're very good helps that you can use in planning your conversations and your conferences with the people you're working with. And then on the same handout, additional coaching techniques, how to provide some supportive feedback with open-ended questions, with narrowing questions, how to do corrective feedback. So you have some really good helpful questions and responses in this handout. So the next thing I want to look at then is the handout. Just one moment and I'll get it here. This handout shows maps for the 2 different kinds of conversations or conferences that you're going to have. So these maps can guide you through that conference. This works really well with with the chapter that you're, the examples in our chapter for clinical supervision. So you can merge those two together and kind of follow these maps. So the first one is to clarify goals, to determine success indicators. What will it look like if you are successful? To anticipate approaches, strategies, and decisions. In other words, what are you going to be doing to make the students successful? To identify a personal learning focus. So what do you want to learn as the teacher as you go through this process? And then the fifth step in the map is to reflect on the process itself and how it was helpful. Then when you do a reflecting conversation, which is basically your post-observation conference, you're going to summarize impressions and recall supportive information. You're going to analyze what causal factors resulted in what happened in the classroom. In other words, what did the teacher do to cause those things? You're going to talk about new learnings, commit to application of the new learnings, and then again reflect on the process. These are all of these things you can find help with in the other handouts that I have provided. So you can use the questions that are provided in those handouts to guide you through these maps. And the third example that I want to show you is the planning conversation map. Again, it shows clarify goals, success indicators, and so forth. But I wanted to show you the tools that are that go along with that, because it's very helpful to understand. Pause. When you pause, you're actually listening to the other person, and listening is critical to a good coaching sequence. To help somebody get better at what they do, you have to listen to what they say. So pause and listen. Paraphrase what you hear them say so that you're both clear that you're hearing what they are saying. Probe to get more information from them, and then pay close attention by listening and attending with your mind and body. So this is just a little bit more in-depth example of how to do a planning conversation. If you will study the handouts that I've provided, it will really help you do a better job of managing your conferences that you're going to be having with in this assignment. So I hope this is a little bit helpful.